Hello. Okay, next tutorial. This look is meant to be Linda Blair or Reagan from the movie Exorcist. So like the original iconic horror movie Exorcist. If you haven't seen it, I insist you go and see it. It's amazing. Yeah. But this look is actually one of my most, or is my most requested look of all time. I get at least this look requested once a day at least. It's mad. I've been putting it off in the past doing it because so many makeup artists here on YouTube have recreated this look amazingly, and I just thought, well, they've done it so well, I don't need to do it. But as I've been getting request after request after request for it, I thought, well, fair enough, you guys must want to see my take on it. So yeah, here is my recreated Reagan. I hope I did it justice for you guys. I'll flash on the screen now the first few people that requested the look originally. But the first person who actually requested it not last Halloween, the Halloween before that. So I'm so sorry to only just get around to doing this, but that was Spectre Seeker. So thank you so much for this request. Thanks everyone, but I'm so sorry to just do it now. But yeah, so I hope you guys like it. So if you'd like to see how to recreate this look, stay tuned. So the first thing I'm going to do is block out my eyebrows. Make sure to block them out really heavily because I'm going to be covering this whole area in liquid latex. And when it comes to removing it, I don't want it to rip out any eyebrows. Yeah, so it will just literally take off the wax that's underneath it. It's perfectly safe. Just make sure you completely cover them. So I'm going to do one layer of spirit gum, one layer of wax, and another layer of spirit gum over the top of it before I apply the latex, just so it's completely safe. Check out the beginning of one of my tutorials here, just teaching you guys how to block them out, just so I can save some time up in this video. So I'm going to block them out and get back to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on building up my brow, because it's not like an incredibly large forehead, it's just the furrowed brow, and it's obviously more raised. So rather than using a gelatin prosthetic, I thought I'll do what I've started doing a lot lately, which is just using latex and tissue paper, just it's something that you guys out there can make more easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some regular liquid latex and a sponge, and the idea is that I'm going to coat the entire area I'm going to be putting the tissue on my forehead with liquid latex, just as a base. Now, as I said before, I've covered my eyebrows with spirit gum, wax, and some more spirit gum, and it's dry now, so my eyebrows are completely safe and covered. So then I can take the tissue, which is basically normal tissue that I've torn in two and got the thinner half, and cut it into a small shapes like this. And the idea is that I can press it in the place that I want it, and then once it sticks to the latex, I can take some more and completely saturate it. So just dabbing it on really gently. So once I've done that, I can do it again on the next part and let that dry, and then do exactly the same and build it up. I'm going to do about 6 layers, I think. That should give me the depth that I want. But yeah, so I'm going to do that and I'll start shaping it. Okay, so once I've done that, so as you can see, hopefully, I've done 5 layers of latex and tissue here, and I've done 1 layer of tissue on the outside just so it tapers off. I've done this slight furrowing of the brow here, so I've done it like 1 layer of tissue here and the 5 layers here, so it's got this really like furrowed area. So now I'm going to take the liquid latex and I'm going to cover the entire of my face of it, just 1 coat of that for now. And the idea is I'm going to make the cuts that she has on her face just by cutting into the latex, the fake latex skin. I would usually use wax, but I've found, using wax, it doesn't last as long, it tends to crack, and I just find it fiddly to work with, and I think seeing as I'm using liquid latex here, I might as well just extend it on the face. So I'm going to do 1 coat of that all over my face and get back to you. So there we are. So I'm going to let that dry. I've also gone over my lips as well, just to give it the same texture that the skin's going to have, that dry, flaky effect. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to start applying the tissue to where I want the cuts to be, just so I can make that area of the skin a bit deeper when I cut into it. So I'm going to try to get the cuts in the right place that they are in the film. It seems to have a V-shaped cut, almost like a wishbone, on her cheekbone. So I'm going to start with that. So I'm going to take the latex and just mark out the shape that I want. So I take the thin slices of tissue and I just lie them down in the shape that I want, and then soak them in. So I've done that in 2 coats. You can't really see now because it's wet, but I've done that line, that wishbone shape there and there. So I'm going to do exactly the same with the rest of the cuts. So there's one on the nose, 2 on the chin, large area of cuts here, and 1 right across the forehead. I'll leave the forehead piece because I can just cut straight into the latex tissue there. So I'm going to apply those cuts and yeah, get back to you. I'm also going to put some, I'm not going to cover my neck completely, I'm just going to put a line of latex here and some tissue over that just so I can have one long cut along the neck. So when it's all dry, it'll look like this. So you can see now where I've got the tissue. So these are the areas that I'm going to cut into to make the area and pull it apart to make it look like really deep cuts, gashes. So I'm going to do this with some really sharp small nail scissors, so I've got a lot of manoeuvring ability with them. Please be careful out there. I know this is really, really dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, so just be careful. The idea is that I'm going to find the area that I want, pinch the latex, pull it up slightly so that I've got some of the latex to cut, and I'll be able to snip it, and then I can cut the shape that I want and pull it apart. So if I start on this one first, actually, because it's an easy shape, it's literally the wishbone shape. So I'm going to pinch the area that I want, and then I can make a small cut into that there, and then I can snip the shape that I want. So when you're done, you're left with this really nice, well, I say nice, really deep gash that when we colour it, it will look a lot better, but you've got the depth there. Yep, so I'm going to do that for the nose and all these pieces. Just make sure to cut a really sharp, really deep line, but that has a sharp edge that tapers off. So it's thick in the middle, but thin on the edge. If, when you're cutting into it, you start to get flaps of, I was going to say skin then, flaps of latex, you can use some spirit gum just underneath it just to stick the latex back down, like I've done here, because otherwise I'd have this big bit here flapping out, and that's just gross. So, so I'm going to do the cuts, and yeah. So there we are. So I've got all these nice deep cuts. I've done a large cut going through my prosthetic on my forehead, and the lines through here. So you can't really see the depth too well on camera because the latex colouring kind of throws the illusion off, but when I paint it, hopefully you should see the depth, and yeah. So, and I've done my neck, so now I can start on the foundation. So Reagan's skin in the film is white, well, but with a hint of dead flesh tone in there, so it's mainly all bruising with hardly any blood. So I'm going to be using my MAC Studio Fix Fluid in NC15 and my Snazaroo Clown White, so I'll be using probably about 2 parts of the foundation, the skin colour, to 1 part Clown White, just mix them together. So we want a really, really pale look, so I'll apply that colour and then we can add different purples and different shades to it afterwards. So there we are. So it's more skin coloured than white, but then again, it looks more white on the camera because I've got 3 lights pointing directly at me, but in real life the idea is it's pale, almost white, not quite there, but yeah, that's what I'm going for. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start colouring in the cuts. I'm going to do the bruising and everything afterwards because I want to get the bulk areas out of the way so I can just focus on the blending of the bruising and stuff. Oh, also, I've not coloured my ears in foundation because my wig's going to cover that. I know it's a little bit of a cheat, but any excuse to get out of colouring my ears, it always freaks me out doing that. So yeah. So for the wounds, I'm going to use my kryolan bruise wheel. I might also use my Pro Colouring just because it's got a really nice yellow in there. Because these wounds seem to be fresh-ish, but it looks like they've been bruised and infected, and so there's purples and blues and greens and yellows and basically all the colours of the rainbow. So let's see, if I start off by taking this dark purpley blue, and I'm going to put that all on the very edges of each of these wounds, so just not colouring the centre in, just the very, very edge flaps of each of these cuts just to add the depth, so that'll act as like the shadow. Then I can take the burgundy red from the kryolan palette. Yeah, so I'm going to colour that completely in every one of these cuts. Now what I'm going to do is, this might be a bit more tricky for some people, but the idea is I'm just going to take the same brush that I used for the purple, take off as much of the colour as I can, so I've literally just got a shadow left. Now the idea with this is to go with the hardly any colour, not adding any more to it, in between the cuts, but not going anywhere, not going next to them, near them. So leave about 1 centimetre in between the cuts and just smoky the colour out. the clean edge around each cut will give the illusion of swelling, if that makes sense. So yeah, just colour in, not everywhere on the face, just the areas in between. Actually, you can see what I'm doing is, at the moment, I'm just drawing the shapes on that I want. So this kind of a shape with the colour. So once I've got it just so it's about a centimetre or so away from the wound, I can just get rid of all the colour completely and just blend it outwards so there's no harsh line, but leave the inside line completely clean. So it can be really subtle if you like, it's just you notice that it starts to look more and more swollen in the centre. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that yellow from the... Is that the Pro Colouring? Yeah. Just because it will look more gross and affected and bruised. And I'm going to start dabbing that in the centre area around each cut. So I'm going to leave that for now, and I'll do some more blending after I've done the eyes, because I want it to be a bit more bruised and a bit bluer, and yeah. But that's the initial cuts taken care of for now. So I'm going to start on the eye makeup now. So to start with, I'm going to use an eyeshadow on my eyes, just so I can get the initial eye shape there, and then I might use some creams instead, because it's a bit easier to use on latex. So I'm going to use a brown eyeshadow by MAC in Bark, and a really, really big fluffy brush, just so I can get the colour there. And I'm going to smoky this out in, it's a rounded shape. I'm going to give more emphasis on the angle lines, so higher colour here, lower colour here. Just go under my eye as well. Really doesn't matter about it not blending particularly well, because, as I said, eyeshadow doesn't really work on latex. So I just want the initial shape there. Okay, so then I've got my base colour. I can start on the creams. So I'm going to use a Grimace number 1001 brown cream. So I'm going to apply this all over my eyelid, not going anywhere beyond that really, and just underneath my eye, because I can blend that out afterwards because it's a cream with a clean brush. So I'm just going to do that now. Right, so I just experimented with my eye shape on this. I'm actually going to do it in a different sort of style. I'm going to keep the furrowed brow that I've sculpted in, like there is in the film, but she seems to have this sad eye expression in most of the scenes, depending on the lighting. So I'm going to do it like this, so high here, lower here. We'll see how it goes. So then I can take a clean brush and I can start tapering this colour out so that there's no harsh line as such. I'm just going to sweep some of that colour under the eye just to make a bag. And just soften those up with a bigger fluffy brush. That's the brilliant thing about creams, you can just blend and blend and blend. So the harsh line is still there, but it's tapered out. So I'm going to do the same thing again with the brow though. I'm going to take the lines and sweep them up to give them the furrowed brow, and then I can soften those up. So now, using the same method of blending as I've used on the bags and the furrowing of the brows, I'm going to take some of that blue kryolan bruisal colour, not a huge amount of it, and I'm just going to apply this in random places on my face, because it is a cream, so it'll carry on blending afterwards. And the idea is that I can taper it out and it will give that hint of blue and bruising in different areas of the face. Just going to go over the brow here and here, and back down there again. And I can take my fluffy brush that's ever so slightly damp, and I can just start blending that colour out. Just be careful not to affect the wounds. There we are, and I'm just going to put some of that kryolan bread just underneath the eyes. I'm going to blend those down just ever so slightly. Just to make the eyes a bit darker, I'm going to take some MAC Black Fluid Line in Black Track, and I'm just going to line my eyes to make them look extra bit darker. Almost forgot. I'm just going to take the blue from the kryolan Blues wheel and just do some stripes on my lips and blend it in. So now I'm going to put some fake blood on, hardly any, about that amount. And I'm just going to go over the wound areas just to make them look a bit fresher like they are in the film. Here we are. If you want to see how to make your own fake blood, I did do a tutorial on that. I'll pop the link here just in case you guys are interested. So that's it. I should mention, I did kind of skip a tiny little step here. On my teeth, I used Mayron Tooth Effects in Nicotine and Kryolan Teeth Blackout. I just don't like showing it on camera because my teeth, I don't like my teeth. So, but yeah, it just really messy, sporadic, disgusting looking teeth. That's what you're going for. I also popped on my wig, which I've cut and styled as best as I can to match hers in the film. It's really straggly and just messy in general, with a really short fringe. The shirt is just a costume shirt I use for all my messy tutorials, so it's got stained blood all over it, and so it's kind of fitting. The contact lenses are called Wolf, I believe, or you can get them from camowise.com, called New Moon contacts, I believe, yeah. They're the closest I can think of, really, to what she has in the film. They're yellow and black and red, I think, but they have this black outline, so yeah. I was going to make some green sick and the long tongue and that, but I thought that might be a little bit overkill, considering, especially you probably couldn't go out with the long tongue attached and the sick coming out. Yeah, ill. So yeah, this is my look. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for the many requests for this look. I'm sorry I only just got around to doing it. Hope it did it justice for you guys. Yeah, so if you like it, make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, the usual. Yeah, so until next time, bye.